guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about my exchange to France. So in December of last year I went on a 3-month exchange to France. I lived in Lyon in France, or just out of Lyon. So it was over New Zealand summer, so I missed 1 month of school because I finished my exams, then straight after my exams I went away and then I came back and I missed 1 month of New Zealand school. And then, so while I was over there, I went to school over there, had Christmas over there, New Year's, my 18th birthday over there. Basically, I just want to talk to you about my experience because before I left, I was really interested in hearing about other people's experiences. So I thought I'd share mine. If someone else wants to go, is thinking about going over there, then they can hear my experience. So I'm going to talk about how I've changed. So the first way that I've changed, which is probably the most obvious way, is that I'm now better at French. It's kind of obvious, but before I left, I'd been taking French at school for 4 years, and once I got there, it was like I'd never learned French before. I knew nothing. I couldn't even understand each word that they were saying because they were speaking so fast. So it was crazy. But once I finally learnt to hear each specific word, then I slowly began able to understand the words, and then I could understand what they were saying. So before I left, I'd heard that like being immersed in a culture in the country where they speak the language will help you to understand the language, which I could understand, but I didn't understand how that worked. Like, I was like, how, if I don't understand a word, how will I suddenly understand a word because someone's speaking it to me? Like, I just didn't get it, but it actually does work. Like, I feel because you're hearing words, and sometimes you might not understand what each word means, but just by the body language and by the topic that they're talking about, you might understand what they're talking about, even though you couldn't say, oh, that word means that word means that, but you do actually get a general idea of what it is they're talking about. And also, you begin to I remember at the start I was always translating, but slowly you begin to just hear it and you understand it without directly translating it back to your normal language, like English for me. And I also began to, I wouldn't have to think so much about like how to say things, like I'd just be able to say it. I wouldn't have to think, oh, that would mean that word means that word means that, so this means the sentence. I just say the sentence and I just say words without having to think about them, which was really cool. But obviously I'm nowhere near fluent at all. I know the basics, obviously I know more than basics, but not fluent. So. But I'm working on it. The first thing I noticed, which was a difference between France and New Zealand, is the culture, which obviously I was super excited to learn the culture and see what the stereotypes were and what were actually true, and I did, and it was cool. So a thing I noticed, I remember as soon as I got off the train with my host dad, we were driving home and we stopped at the boulangerie, at the bakery, and we got bread. And I was like, oh my god, what a stereotype. But yeah, it's so true. They love their bread. There was always a bag with baguettes in it all the time. It was crazy. Every meal you always had baguettes, so that's cool. And another thing is that in New Zealand we sort of take the piss out of our friends, but also we make fun of our friends, but we also make fun of our parents, like not in a mean way, but we're just joking around. But in France they don't do that. Like, they would joke around and make fun of their friends, but not of their parents, which I found was crazy because I was like, but yeah, it's a thing. And another thing is that in the schools, if a teacher is talking to a student, they'll use the informal, which is tu, but if a student is talking to a teacher, they have to use the formal version, which I I thought was really weird because, I don't know, it's just like, I mean it makes sense, but it's just weird to, it was hard for me to like remember to do that, and sometimes I'm used to it with it, oh, what the heck, but it's fine. Another thing is that I felt like I'd heard that the French was super like cultured, like they knew art, they knew history, all this stuff, but, and I was like, oh, I don't know, whatever. But then when I got there, I was like, that is so true. Like they have to take philosophy, geography, history, English, a second language, and they're so cultured and all and stuff like that, like artsy sort of things, and I don't know what you call this sort of stuff, but that. And like we were playing, you know, Heads Up, that game, and you put your, I know it's called Heads Up, not Heads Up, but the thing you put like a little stick on your forehead, and it's like depending on who you are, and they had to describe to me who I was, and I couldn't get it, and I was like, who is this person? I still don't even know who it was, but it was some historical guy. They're like, oh my god, how you don't know that guy? I was like, I don't know, history? I don't know, it's so weird. That's when I was like, so cultured. So when coming back from New Zealand, I found a lot, I was a lot more confident socially, and it was a lot easier for me to talk to people, because like the difference from every day having to always be constantly thinking and trying to understand and everything, and then you go back to where you're from and it's just so much easier. You're like, whoa. So I feel like I really learned to not take being able to communicate with people for granted, because it's such an amazing thing to be able to easily communicate and not have to always be like trying really hard to understand what they're saying. You can just do it. Also, one tip, which I mean I always knew, but I didn't know the extent, is that going on exchange is really hard. Really hard. Really hard. Especially if you're going to a country where you don't speak the language. It's really hard. Like, it was amazing, obviously, like, it was great, but it's so hard. Like, I couldn't, it wasn't until I got there that I can truly understand how hard it actually was, because I didn't understand what people were saying. I had to, I used up so much energy just trying to translate and trying to understand. So by the end of the day, I was just always so tired, because I was using all this brain power to try and understand. And like, you're away from your family and you're having to live in this new place with these new people, try and make friends when you don't even understand what people are saying. Like, that's not easy. So yeah, it will be amazing, but it will be hard. So that's basically all I have to say. If anyone else has any questions or anything like that on exchanges or on my experience in France, things like that, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions, not only on my experience in France, but also on living in New Zealand, I don't know, maybe some people might find it interesting. Maybe. I don't know. If you do, leave them in the comments below.